Hey y'all, so I thought I would try something different today. I'm always filming in my Jeep and I wanted to be outside, to be totally honest. So I've been working on these little areas here in my yard which are very natural, and I have planted a few different things. I don't know if you can see. Um, well, actually, the one I wanted to show is over here. Maybe I'll pop a picture in at the end. But I've been working on them. But I like to keep things very natural in my yard. I've got moss in my yard, and I love that. In the fall, I've got mushrooms that pop up, all kinds. They're just really pretty. Clover and just all kind of cool things. So I love to be outside. To me, nature is very healing. It's you can just even be in a bad mood and step outside. For me, anyway, I say you, but really me. I can step outside and just feel better pretty quick, you know. I think I mentioned in my last video about I got this new book on trees, and it's talking about the power of nature, essentially, and which I feel like this is probably why we refer sometimes to nature as Mother Nature, you know, because it has those kind of qualities, you know, of a good and loving and nurturing mother. You know what I mean? A healthy mother is going to have those qualities to be able to nurture her child, you know, in many ways. And that's how nature is for us. And so, in that book, you know, I shared recently, it's talking about forest bathing, what they call forest bathing, and how that can be very restorative and healing, and be interesting, you know, to look up if that's officially been researched. But either way, firsthand experience is all we need, right? And so, anyway, I love to walk barefoot and to just come out and be in nature. So we're going to try it and see. I hope this little microphone I have here is going to be sufficient. And I've got my notes in my lap, so I'm kind of juggling all kind of stuff. And so we'll see. I might have the cat come over and hop in my lap in a minute. I don't know. But I hope you're doing good. And I hope you got something good to drink as we hang out and have our coffee chat, or whatever it is you like. I've got this actually it's homemade, but I've put pumpkin spice creamer in here. It's already out in the store, so I'm pretty excited. And so that's what I've got, and plenty of water too. So I haven't really, in the last few years, and I wonder if you've experienced this too. I haven't really been as much into music as I used to be, because I feel like when you go through tough times, you're extra emotional anyway, and if you are the type of person who is affected by music emotionally, then you're probably going to steer clear of it for a while. And that's why also, and I think I've said this before, it seems like I've already got gnats on me. It seems like when you're able to return to the things that you used to enjoy, that's a sign of healing. And especially if these are things that are impactful to you in an emotional way, if you're able to return to those, like as in my example of music, then to me that's a great indicator that you are in fact healing. I think sometimes we go to therapists and we read and we journal and we do all the things we're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like we tick the boxes or whatever, to try and move beyond a hard time in our life. But I think that it there's going to there's going to come times during our healing process where there are clear indicators or signs of the truth, which will tell us, are we truly as healed as we thought we were or not? And so that's just something you can think on if you'd like, or journal on. And for me, one of those things has been music. But I love all kinds of music, really. I do. There's only ever been one type of music I've listened to in the past, and I'm not 100% sure on the artist. I think I know, and I don't want to really put it out there and be opinionated necessarily publicly online about it, because I know, people have all different kinds of opinions on everything, right? But since this is a channel on healing and how we can approach that holistically, I at least want to give a generalized opinion on this. I think there's something to be said when you look throughout history. There's been a lot of different cultures who have approached healing through vibrations and sound healing. Even my local yoga studio offers what they call sound baths, and I think that another layer on top of that is what reaches our subconscious mind when we listen to particular lyrics too, because you can have a great beat going and yet the lyrics could be pretty scandalous stuff or very negative stuff, and we're still taking that in, and we're instructed in the Bible to kind of filter all that stuff out, and be careful what we subject ourselves to. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to take every thought captive. It says we're supposed to just not be a sponge, and so I'm trying to be a lot more mindful of that now that I'm older. And so, but back to what I was saying, I really do like almost all kinds of music, but jazz has always just been really special to me. Not really kind of like the elevator top stuff, but just more of the soulful stuff, And one of my favorite songs has always been Blue Moon by Billie Holiday. And it's just very soulful, and it's kind of like, I love how it captures the different seasons in our life just within a few minutes. And if you're not familiar with it, it says it's talking about being alone, and I feel like, when she says, you saw me standing alone. I feel like that's when you're a spiritual person, a lot of times you can view many different songs as a communication or a discussion between yourself and the higher power, God, right? Our Heavenly Father. And that's how I view that song personally. But it says, when the moon is blue, it says, Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. And so there's not a lot of different words in the lyrics, but it's really just kind of a sweet song. And then what's cool is the color of the moon changes in the story. There's a story within the song, and it goes from blue to gold. And so I love that because warm colors, you guys know I have an art background, so warm colors are associated with the positive emotions, and I'm thinking about, like, even in that new Disney movie, which I haven't seen, but I think it's called Inside Out. There's a character, it's teaching kids about emotions, and there's a character called Joy, and she wears yellow, but there's a little bit of blue associated with her character too. I think because she has blue hair, so that's kind of neat and very symbolic if you want to look at it that way. But warmth in general and warm colors. Got some geese flying over. There they go. They're so beautiful. I wish I could show you guys. Yeah, they're so fast. But I love geese. But warmth and warm colors in general are associated with those positive emotions, right? And so the story within the song is that things do change, seasons change for her, and it's sort of like I view this as a song of gratitude, to God or the universe, however you want to view it, for acknowledging the position she was once in. It's like, hey, you saw me. You saw that I was lacking these things. Again, what are these things, right? She didn't have a dream in her heart or a love of her own. So those are kind of, I feel like, very popular things that I think we all think we need to be happy, right? A dream in our heart, something to look forward to, something to work toward, a goal in life, and then a love of our own, someone to love, because So many songs have been written about that, but it's like I'm thinking about love makes the world go round. That's an old song, but even God is described as love, and love is the primary thing. And in the end, when these three things remain, the greatest of these is love, right? Faith, hope, and love. So love is a big deal, as we know. But I think that our understanding of love um, changes. It not only deepens, but it our appreciation of it really deepens, I think, as we mature in life, but our understanding of it kind of changes too. There's different kinds of love as well, and I think we come to understand that too as we get older. But in general, I think that a lot of times when we're, um, just assessing, are we really happy in life? Those are the two things that we look at. Do we have love in our life, in one way or another? And do we have a dream in our heart, a purpose, something to work toward, something to live for, something to be excited about? And so I wanted to open with that. And it's a cool song. I'll put a link in the description if you haven't ever heard it, if I can find it on YouTube. But so there's this concept that I heard of years ago, and maybe you've heard of it. I think it's from like the Netherlands or something, but it's over in that area where winter is just a very long season and summers are very mild. And there's like long periods of darkness and things like that, right? Some of those very, very northern lands. But there's a concept called hygge, and it's actually spelled Hygge. And as far as I can understand, this essentially means cozy, just this element of coziness. And I think that we can all appreciate that, and I want to do a deep dive on that today without hopefully it being too long. I'm already at 12 minutes. That was a super long opening, but hey, it's kind of like, what is it? Que sera, sera, what's meant to be will be. So let's have a little coffee break here. So I think that there's paradox in the fact that, and I hope I'm using this word right. I forgot to look this word up, but somber. I think the word is somber. I'll drop it down here if I'm using the wrong word. But somber things can actually, or I wouldn't say things, but somber seasons or environments can sometimes bring us comfort. And it's kind of like, why is that? It feels like a paradox, okay? So let's talk about this. If you think about your state of being, it can either be, oh my gosh, hang on, there's a tiny kitten in my yard and I have no idea where it came from. I'll show you guys. Oh my gosh, the cutest. So, yes. Back to what I was saying. So, if you think about your state of being with regards to like your energy, right? You can either be really like excited, or so many different ways you can describe this, like wound up or pumped up or whatever, or you can be just very, very calm. Your heart rate can be kind of down, and that can be either a good or bad thing. And I think this is where I talk a lot on my channel about balance, right? I think this is where being somewhere in the middle is really good for your baseline, right? How you function most days. But because we know if you get too far down on this calm side, it can just be kind of like where you don't even, it's more of like a depression, like you don't hardly feel a life force energy within you whatsoever. It's like it's gone through so much, it's totally dissolved or dissipated, and that's not cool. But then on this side of the spectrum, what's interesting is even on the far, far end of it, it's not necessarily good to be on on this side in an extreme manner, like excited, but it can feel either good or bad. You see what I'm saying? If you're totally on the opposite end of the spectrum and depleted or zapped, that is almost always perceived by us as a negative thing, right? Calm might be closer on this end of the spectrum, but it's not going to be totally this far end. And yet, again, on this other side of, the scale of our energy, our personal energy, at any given moment, extreme excitement can be either good or bad. It can be perceived as either good or bad. Oh, she's carrying her baby around now, y'all. So, if we have been exposed, talking about excitement and what that does to our body, the effects on our body when we are in that kind of an environment, like an amplified spirit type of environment, right? And our bodies are, and our minds and everything, we're just kind of like amped up. If we have been exposed to a lot of negative excitement in our life, then that can become a state that is of functioning, of being, or an environment that is familiar to us. And, familiarity is a powerful thing as far as our subconscious goes. And here's why. Because supposedly, and this is something I have gleaned from many different books I've read over the years related to psychology, but supposedly familiarity, what we're used to, is something that operates, that drives our actions and our choices and everything from the subconscious. Because again, there's like these invisible mental kind of rules to live by, right? That that are driving us, and we're not even conscious of them a lot of times. And so, again, familiarity is a big deal. Okay, and so there's a delicate balance between, how much do we just kind of take the path of least resistance because of faith and going with the flow and thinking we're doing the right thing, versus how much do we interfere and step into what we feel like is our God-given autonomy and authority. It's kind of like either side can be viewed good or bad, really, depending on how you want to make the argument. Again, I'm always playing devil's advocate, even within my own mind when I'm trying to understand things. But so there's two paths to things, and even then it's not very clear. But I just wanted to mention that, okay? So with regards to the type of energy that we are used to, either whether it's been, our family environment growing up, or just our friend groups and just how we've normally operated throughout life, if it's been, more on the side of the spectrum of being just kind of like a ramped up energy, amplified, or whether it's been more of a calm, even possibly fluctuating into the depressive or the no life force energy kind of side of things, right? There's opportunity for us, and that's what I want to really get at here, okay? I was talking about how this concept of hygge, and trying to position ourselves as much as possible in our life to feel cozy, right? to be in this space, this energetic space of coziness, okay, or comfort and peace. This can either happen just naturally because of the weather. A lot of people find rain. That's a great example here. Very peaceful, right? Some people find it depressing. Some people find it peaceful. It's probably not going to get your heart rate going and bring you over to this excited end of the spectrum, unless there's a tornado headed your way or whatever. But if it's just rain, typically it's more on this end of the spectrum, right? So your environment or your atmosphere can just be what it is, right? But we can step into our personal power, our God-given authority to maintain peace, this feeling of comfort and coziness within, right? By mentally alchemizing our perception. Like the things around us, they're going to be what they are, but how we perceive them is where the magic is, okay? So I had this dream a long time ago about being in a completely dark room with a few people, and at first, it wasn't totally dark at first. It's like the power went out, and we were all sitting around, and almost always in my dreams, I don't even know the people that are in my dreams, which is weird, but the power just totally went out, and it wasn't like the power went out. It was kind of like everything went out, and it's like we just entered this darkest of darkness, kind of voids or something. And my first inclination was to feel fear, like extreme, like primordial terror or something like that. But it quickly dissipated and alchemized or changed into the deepest peace you could ever feel, which was interesting because I feel like in general darkness is associated with negative things, right? But this was actually the darkest dark, and it was extremely peaceful. So interesting. But we can alchemize our perception in that way, and find balance there and carry that with us, every day, essentially. So I was looking up hygge, and it means cozy, right? Or comfort, a cozy quality. So I was looking up cozy, and it's related to opportunity, right? In Latin, the Latin equivalent is related to opportunity. It's a commod, I guess maybe like commodity. I didn't think about that, but commod. The first thing I read was commode, just a giggle for y'all. But COMMOD, and then you can have these different, it's not a prefix. What is it? Suffix. It's like a US or an A or a UM at the end. That's the Latin equivalent, supposedly, to cozy. But it means, I'm assuming it's pronounced commod, but it means opportunity, right? So I thought that was interesting. I've never associated coziness with opportunity, but it certainly relates to our message today, right? This is where we have our part to play in what we're experiencing, right? It's not just total surrender and we're just laying there like a limp noodle and letting everything in life happen to us, just in the name of faith, coming from a good place, but still just doing nothing. Because remember, the Bible says faith without action is dead. So we have a part to play. We have a part to play. I totally believe this. And so, yes, so opportunity, cozy, and the Latin equivalent, commod, meaning comfort, and also opportunity. So what was interesting is, it also is related to convenience. And I thought, okay, when you're looking at opportunity and convenience, to me, those are two very different things. Okay, so I want to take a look at that because we're getting really close to the heart of the message now. So looking at the word convenience means agreement. And if you remember, we talked about recently in the Bible how it warns us against agreements or oaths, right? Because we shouldn't need a piece of paper to prove that we're being truthful and we mean what we say, right? But yeah, convenience is associated with an agreement. So interesting. Um, Spiritually speaking, I would say, um, in terms of, what Jesus preached, which was um, laying everything down and being free, right? Um, that would be the opposite. That's a tie, like a spiritual tie into something worldly, in my opinion, when you're thinking about that relation between commitment and agreement. And I was looking this up on the online etymology dictionary. So really interesting. It also means conformity, right? And many other things. And some of the other things are actually positive associations with that term, such as from the Latin convenientia, meaning a coming together or a harmony. And then again, we have a transformation of this term into something negative in the 1670s, which it goes into saying convenience is that which gives ease or comfort, and the relation is, that's not negative at first sight, but the example here is a convenient article, right, or thing, or appliance, so something to be used. And I think that when we have our modern day understanding of the term convenience, that's how we perceive it. It's something that's readily available, something that we can use to make our life better, like an appliance. And that's the mindset of, in my opinion, people who operate in the darkness, people that are self-centered and manipulate others for their own advantage. It's like an agreement with the dark side, you've heard of the whole term, the deal with the devil or whatever. And so there's no values set with these people. They do operate out of convenience, and they use anything and everything and anyone they can, right, to achieve whatever their hidden motives are, right, their hidden goals. And then let's contrast the word convenience with opportunity. Again, anything can be looked at, in a positive or negative light, but let's just take a look at this. So from the late 14th century, it's said it was interchangeable with convenience, right? Opportunity or convenience, right? But it also means fit or seasonable time. So there's some depth, in my opinion. There's something more to the essence of what this term means, opportunity. So let's take a deeper dive here. So it's from the phrase ob portum veniens, meaning coming toward a port. You have ob, which means in front of or toward, and you have portus, which means harbor. Okay? And we know that harbor is what? It's a shelter. It's a shelter. And so I was looking up, harbor in the Bible, and Psalms 107 is just really good to read, I would say. It starts out with talking about giving thanks, to God. And there's a song that's, I think, inspired from the Psalms, and it says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, his love endures forever. It's a beautiful song. Used to be able to play it on piano. I actually lost my folder that had all my music in it, and I'm pretty devastated about it, because I wouldn't have lost something like that. So I don't know what happened to it, but anyway, but let's take a look at verses 29 and 30 in Psalm 107. It says, he maketh the storm a calm, not calm. It doesn't say he makes the storm calm. He says he maketh the storm a calm, right? So it's literally not, it's like the storm is gone now completely. He didn't keep the storm and make it calm, and it's still the storm. It's been alchemized. That's what happens in alchemy. The original substance is completely changed, and what was there, the base is totally gone. There's no remnants of it left. And so that's the power, right, that we're talking about here, the numinous power. He maketh the storm a calm, so that the waves thereof are still. Then are they glad because they be quiet. I can't read my writing again, y'all. Hang on. Essentially, they're glad, right? It says, He bringeth them into their desired haven, right? So, yes, and not just haven or harbor, but their desired haven. I thought that was cool. That God actually cares enough. He doesn't just give everybody the same thing. He cares enough about each one of us to recognize our individuality and our unique desires of our hearts. That's a big deal. That's real love right there. So again, when you're thinking about being out of balance, right, which I talk about a lot on my channel, that spectrum I was referring to earlier, being completely depleted, like having a totally depleted spirit, is kind of like too little life force energy. And then over here on the other end of the spectrum, on the extreme side, it's an overly amplified spirit. It's just too much life force energy. And that can be experienced directly as either a good or a bad thing. A bad thing would be anxiety. A good thing would be excitement. Anticipating something good, right? So I find that interesting. And then going back to Psalm 107 in verses 26 and 27, I didn't write them down, but it's essentially talking about this instability, this people who go back and forth from one end of the spectrum to the other, okay? And it's described as going way up and then way down and way up and way down. And I feel like energetically that's what I've been talking about, right? With your how you experience this energy inside your spirit. And so it's talking about people that go up and down and up and down, and it's referred to as reeling to and fro. And it says they stagger like a drunken man and are at their wits' end, okay? This is a biblical argument to find balance in life is what this is, right? We're all going to experience this, at some point in life. It's just the way it is. But what's interesting is it says, they're at their wits' end, right? When I hear this saying, I think of frustration. When somebody says, man, I'm just at my wits' end, I think that they're just really frustrated, they can't hardly tolerate something or another anymore. But actually, wit refers to our mental capacity, right? Literally, the Old English wit, W-I-T and also W-I-T-T, means understanding, intellect, or sense. So, rereading what this is saying now in verse 27 in Psalm 107, right? They stagger, they stagger like a drunken man and are at their wits' end. So this going back and forth, not having control over this life force energy within you, it kind of gives you a feeling of being out of your mind, of confusion. You don't have understanding anymore. It's a life of chaos. Things are probably not going to make a lot of sense to you, right? So if we look at the Proto-Indo-European root word related to wit, it's actually W-E-I-D, okay? That means to see. Metaphorically meaning to know, okay? So that we have the Old English witten, W-I-T-A-N, meaning to know. So what does the Bible say about knowing? Knowing, understanding, having this intellect, having sense. What does the Bible say about this? The directive is, in order to achieve it, we have to do what? We have to be still. Be still and know. So, that's just it. Our true knowing, right? Which brings peace and is the primary or principal thing, right? Because it says, wisdom is the principal thing, with all your getting, get understanding, right? It's only achieved not by striving the way we try to get it, but by being still. Being still. So, this place of peace, this place of calm, of cozy, of comfort, it's not just energetically cozy. It's actually very wise. These two things go hand in hand. And I think sometimes we forget that, and I just want to encourage you that yes, we have a part to play. Yes, we have actions to take, because again, faith without works is dead. But ultimately, we can kind of take a deep breath and we can stop with striving, because you can come at life from a position of, or a mindset of, rather, it's really a mindset. Because a lot of times our mindset is not the same thing as our actual position in life. But you can come at life or approach life through the mindset or perspective of lack, even unconsciously, right? Or from the mindset of abundance. And if you think about striving is something someone's going to be doing if they are in lack and in need, right? This kind of goes, really, it very much does go in alignment with the verse in the Bible that says, whatsoever things you desire when you pray, and then this part especially, believe that you will have them and you shall have them. So it comes down to belief again. So to me, if a person isn't approaching life, or at least trying to approach life from a spiritual angle at all, I feel like they are more likely to fall into this trap of striving. And it's going to be a state of unrest, a state of never enough, never satisfied, it's a mindset of lack, even if it's not consciously recognized as such. And so, sometimes in life we can actually be in a position of lack. And when you're truly in that position and you're talking about it or whatever, sometimes people can just shame you and be like, God, why you always got to be, negative, or, because a lot of times a lot of people operate in a mode of comparison, and they're looking at what you have, and they may see things that you have that they don't have, and you may not even know it. And so you may actually be going through a season of actual lack. Maybe some old things died in this last season, fell off or out of your life in this last season of your life, and now you're in a position of actual lack, and you're making adjustments. And if you express this, a lot of times people can come at that with almost a little bit of an envious spirit, and you don't even realize it, and they can shame you for having a lack mindset, and you're like thinking, well, I mean, it's legit. So there's a difference, between it being real versus it being just a mindset. But just keep in mind habits, keep in mind conditioning, take a look at or examine and assess, I would say, your spiritual energy, and just try to find some value in what might initially either feel like or really be a time of void in your life, a time of lack in your life, and understand that there is value there. There is actually value there. But it requires discipline. It requires discipline. That's our part. Sometimes our part to play, we don't think of discipline or being still sometimes as an action. We think of it as the opposite, the lack of an action. But if it's intentional, then it's an action. So even being still can be an action. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, this was a super, super casual, laid back video, and I just hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it gave you something to think about. Most of all, I hope it got the wheels turning, gave you some things to think about. And again, I just hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you so much for coming along to hear the message. I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I will see you again very soon.